You have the agenda before you. I've been looking for an motion to approve the agenda, but if there's any additions or deletions, go ahead, Councillor. You're moving it, or? Okay. Been moved by Councillor Cushing. Do we have a seconder for that? Seconded by Gerard LeBlanc. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Item number 3 is declaration of any conflict of interest. Does any councillor have any conflict with any of the items? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 4, is the approval of minutes. You have that in your package. Who wishes to tackle that one? Oh, Councillor LeBlanc, go ahead.
I move for the approval of the minutes of September the 12th, 2018 in-camera meeting minutes, September 19th, 2018 in-camera minutes, October the 10th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, October 10th in 2018 in-camera meeting minutes, October 10th, 2018 public transcript, October 24th, 2018 regular council meeting minutes, October 24th, 2018 in-camera meeting minutes, October 24th, 2018 public transcript minutes, November the 14th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, November the 14th, 2018 in-camera meeting minutes, and November the 14th, 2018 public transcript.
We have a mover. Do we have a seconder for those? Been seconded by Councillor Cushion. Was there any questions? You ready for the vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 5 is Warden's remarks, and have those here before me. If I may take a bit of your time. This month has been a bit of a challenge and so on. We've had a bit of, I'll say, summer weather, spring weather, fall weather, and winter weather already, and we're not even fully into winter, but this afternoon was really nice out there. The sun was warm and almost like a spring day. But other than that, November 1st, Chamber of Commerce had their business award night on the 1st of November at Rod's Grand Hotel. I was unable to attend at the last minute, but Mark Blinn of the Economic Development Department, he was there on our behalf, and congratulations to all of the winners. We appreciate all that they do for our area. They support us in more ways than a lot of people realize through the tourist industry and just being an economic driver in our area. November 6th to 9th, we all know where a few of us were, the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities Fall Conference in Halifax. I believe that this was one of the best fall conferences that I've been to for the fall conference of NSFM. There was a lot of good presentations, as both Lauren, Councillor Cushion, Councillor Durkee, and Councillor LeBlanc, the CAO, Victoria. We had an opportunity to intermingle and have discussions with a lot of our fellow councillors, but at each one of the presentations, they were very well attended and they were really good. But one of the best parts of this conference was on Tuesday that we had the chance to meet with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Mr. Porter, and it was really great. I felt really good sitting down with my fellow councillors, with the CAO and with his department heads, and having the opportunity to bring issues and concerns from our municipality directly to him. And I was impressed with the way he listened. I was impressed with the way he answered some of our questions and so on, and our concerns. He took us by surprise a couple of times, but I thought that was really good. But later on that evening, the CAO and myself, the CAOs and wardens and so on from, I believe, around Chester, around to Digby, had an opportunity to meet with him at the conference to have a full discussion on the 2016-2018 drought. Municipal Affairs, that department, is concerned with the issue through EMO. They work very closely with EMO on this issue. They realize climate change is happening, and they realize that this is not something that may not happen for another 10 years. They realize that this could happen again next summer, and they want to be prepared along with the municipalities. So basically, coming from that meeting, he put the onus back onto the municipal units for us to sit down and formulate a plan to then send to his department for them to peruse, look at, and then meet with the municipal units, CAOs, wardens again, and have a full discussion on having a plan in place for when this does happen again, so it can roll out quicker and be a benefit. Because of the drought, a lot of people didn't realize, they were thinking of just drinking water and so on. The other issue that is before them is if there is a drought, a lot of fire ponds are dry, a lot of riverbeds are dry for forest fire fighting, and even rural house fires. So there was a lot of concerns that all of these things can fit into the EMO perspective, and with municipal help, design a good plan on that. And I know you've had one meeting already, have you not? Yes, the CAOs have met and so on. November 11th, as we all are well aware, Remembrance Day. Thank you to Councillor Cushion for representing the municipality at the Mariner Centre on the 11th. I know that Councillor Durkee, you were at Port Maitland. Councillor LeBlanc, you were at South Ohio, I believe, on the 4th for Remembrance Day. Yes, thank you. Deputy Warden John, you were at Carleton. Yes, and so on behalf of the municipality, thank you very much for doing those. But I took the opportunity, as a young kid growing up, it was always to the town cenotaph. And over the years, because it's cold and so on, the veterans found it, we started using the Mariner Centre. So I know they have a service down at the cenotaph at the same time as they do at Mariner Centre. So I took the opportunity to go there. And I was very pleased. There was 500 plus people down there. I couldn't believe it. It was a real nice service. It really was. There was some singing. There was some discussion, and there was wreath laying there. So I was, but. On November 13th, Lakes and Districts in Lake George had an announcement from the MP Colin Fraser and MLA Zach Churchill, and from the municipality on financial assistance for the addition to their fire hall. They have been in need of this addition for a long time. They will be making this a community use fire hall. Most important for the community, it will become a comfort center. They have a propane stove. They have, they're building new washroom facilities, and also their washroom facilities will be wheelchair accessible along with showers and so on. They will now be able to store all of their fleet of trucks undercover and so on. And it was a nice turnout, and I want to thank the councillors for participating in that. On November 14th, we had a committee of the whole meeting, which you all participated in. On November 19th, our bylaw and policy committee had a meeting to review and to form any new policies or bylaws that may be needed by the municipality. November 23rd, the town of Yarmouth Christmas tree lighting at 6 a.m. There was a good turnout there. The tree this year was donated by the Acadia First Nations, and it was a nice tree, and it was a nice gesture on their behalf to the community for this tree lighting ceremony, because at the same time the town turns on the lights on Frost Park and leave them on for the Christmas season. On November 26th, the 3 CAOs and the elected officials of the 3 units of EMO, we met to discuss a regional EMO committee format. This new format are called REMOs, and it stands for Regional Emergency Measure Operations. There was staff on hand from EMO Nova Scotia, plus the local staff that participate in the local EMO committee meetings. A REMO is to help utilize all of our organizations from the RCMP, EHS, radio dispatch, and the hospital and so on to coordinate them, because there's been times here in Yarmouth County when we've needed both the RCMP in Argyll and in the town of or in the municipality of Yarmouth, so they find it a little difficult. So forming one committee of the 3, the town of Yarmouth, the municipality of Yarmouth, and the municipality of Argyll, it'll be a regional committee, and we better utilize all of these organizations and so on. So that's a formulation that's being done, and in that formulation is being done right around the province. A lot of the counties are joining their forces on that. On Friday, I'll be in Halifax for a regional chair solid waste resource management meeting. We'll be meeting with Divert Nova Scotia, the Nova Scotia environment staff, municipal affairs department staff, and Nova Scotia Federation of Municipality staff. Last, I would wish to talk about the tragedy that struck Yarmouth County on November 24th at the Christmas parade here in the town of Yarmouth. I've thought about this long and hard, and I didn't know how to put it down so that the people of the community would fully understand my feelings and my councillors and staff's feeling on this tragedy. A death of a family member hurts, but when it is a child and it is an accident, it has to hurt even more. Macaulay was a 4-year-old who was enjoying the many things a child does. Her life, though short, was well-meaning. One of the most important parts, and it really struck me when I heard that she used to say hi to people, smiling, enjoying preschool, waiting for the new school to open, horseback riding, and the list goes on. To the father and mother, the grandparents, and the family members, the community can only feel a small part of the pain you are going through. We support you and say prayers for you and your family. But I do have a special request of the community. I'm going to ask each and every one of you, I do realize that this video won't be shown for another week or 2, but I'm asking each and every one to do what Macaulay done. She said hi. So I'm asking you to say hi to a complete stranger. They may think of Macaulay, and you will be remembering her. In doing so, I fully believe that we can help the family move forward with their loss. At this time, I would ask each and every one of us to stand and have a moment of silence in her memory. Thank you. I guess I get a little emotional on that. I have a 4-year-old grandson, so I know what the hurt really must be. Item number 6 was presentations. I believe the presentation that was scheduled had to be canceled, if I'm not mistaken. Item number 7, business arising from any of the minutes. Was there anything that councillors had? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 8, new business. Bylaw Review Committee recommendations. Councillor Durkee, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to pass the dynamic speed display sign policy D-0410-18. And the intent of this policy is to develop a procedure for the placement of the dynamic speed display signs within the municipality of Yarmouth.
You all have that in your package. You've heard the motion. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Was there any further discussion or questions on the motion? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
This is an amendment to the fee, make a motion, to amend the fees policy, F-044-02, which basically takes out the cost for criminal reference checks.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Deputy Warden Cunningham. Was there any discussion, questions? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. 8.2, the October Development Report. You had that in your package. What is the wishes, Deputy Warden?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the October Development Report is circulated.
Okay. We have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Trevor Cunningham. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. .3, CAO's report. You have that in your package. Was there any questions or concerns? Otherwise, hearing none, do we have I can't remember, do we need a motion to accept? Yeah, looking for a motion. Go ahead, Councillor.
Oh,
Yes.
that's me. First of all, I'd like to thank our CAO for the report, which includes the previous motions that were made and the actions being taken on them. So on that note, I would like to make a motion to accept the CAO's report.
Okay. Have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. 8.4, letter from Minister Porter, wildfire coverage. 8.4.1, the original letter from the municipality of Yarmouth and the municipality of Argyle. You have that in your reports. Is there any questions, concerns? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councillor LeBlanc.
Just a question here. What it says in the letter there, that Department of Forest, they haven't gotten rid of any personnel, right? That's what it says. They have the same amount of people working there. So I'm just wondering, there's nothing really that changed with the fire department or anything. It's just the same as they just. It seems like there would be a lot more problems, which there's not really, as far as I can see.
If I'm not mistaken, what they have found, because the volunteer fire departments are usually, as they're known as first responders, they are being used more and more by natural resources to fight any forest fires, and they're finding it difficult. That's why the letter went from the municipality of Yarmouth and the municipality of Argyle. And you see there that I'm trying to find it again. Many fire departments stay at our incidents and assist, as these wildfires are in their own communities and they are aware of the risk potential. We have not reduced the number of lands and forest personnel in your area. As with many organizations, personal numbers fluctuate with staff taking new positions, retiring, etc., and it takes time to fill vacancies following our collective agreements and policy. My understanding at the time when the letter was sent that there is a shortage of manpower in Southwest Nova. And so there,
Okay.
well, as it states there, as new positions retiring and so on, it takes time to refill them.
Okay.
And that's the issue that we're asking them not to have, right? It's because the volunteer fire departments are finding it difficult.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if Deputy Warden can speak to any. I don't know if there was any calls this summer in the Carleton area for.
There was none this summer.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a dry summer. We were very, very fortunate. So. Okay, let me down through here. 8.5, grant request, the Melbourne Community Center. Let me find it in here, just one sec. 8.5, the grant request from the Melbourne Community Center. Let me get it open, I read it. At this time, would the CAO like to speak to this in any?
Thank you, Mr.
back on the
Warden.
wrong
So this
one.
is a late grant request that has come in, and it's a bit of an anomaly or a different type of situation for municipal council to consider. So there is a community group that's under contractual obligation with the municipality to look after the hall, but the municipality owns the hall. In around late August, early September, an inspection of the heating system at the hall was done, and the system was, it was
Condemned.
condemned. Yeah, it was condemned. It was severe enough that it couldn't be turned on, and the system was pulled out. So normally, the community hall, per the agreement, is responsible for all repairs and maintenance. And over the years, they've put a new roof on, they've put windows in, and they've had time to fundraise. In this particular case, with winter approaching and knowing that they are responsible to replace the heating system, I indicated that a possible option to them was to apply to the municipality for a grant to pay for that system. So they are going to be using a heat pump system, and they went to market and got the best price that they could get, and would like to hire somebody as soon as possible to have that put in. So I'm asking council to make an exception in this case. Not only would approving this grant put you over your limit that you had set aside for last minute requests, but it is late in coming, and I know it's late in coming, but because we own the building and because it's extenuating circumstances, I'm asking council to consider my recommendation to approve this grant.
Go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
So, given that our CAO's outlined a clear path forward, and I agree with those, with her reasoning, and it is an exceptional circumstance, and I know it does put that budget line under a little bit of pressure, but we do own the building, and I think we do need to help the group out. Certainly, this is an unforeseen circumstance, and it needs to be remedied before the cold weather really comes. So, I'll move that we approve the grant in the amount of $17,000 is circulated for immediate repair of the Melbourne Community Center.
It's been moved by Councillor Trevor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Was there any further discussion on the motion? Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
I just have a question. I see that that's not included in their budget. It's just, I don't see where that 17,000 is included in their budget.
No, it's not included, Councillor Durkee, because if they don't receive the grant, they don't know what they're going to do.
Okay.
Go ahead, Councillor. Deputy Warden, go ahead.
I'm actually not very comfortable in making a decision on this request tonight. I'd like to get some more information. This is actually, I've been in this council for 10 years. This is the first news to me that the municipality owns the community center building. I'd like some more information before I could make a decision on this request, to tell you the truth. I'd be more apt to defer a decision on this motion, but I have to wait and see what the other councilors think.
Was there any further discussion on the motion? I can give you a little history on this. That my understanding was it happened before my time. This was a school, and when they consolidated, it was turned over to the municipality. And the municipality back in that time went out to a community, where the community organization came forward, and this where the lease kind of thing came into effect. So we owned the property, and they've run it all these years and so on. And as time goes on, I did talk with Councillor Allen pertaining to it. They do, well, as you've seen in there's darts and so on, but they also do a lot of other little functions and so on for funeral receptions, wedding receptions and so on. But it is a vital part of their community. It also services the area of Pinckney's Point, Little River, is it? Or, yeah, Little River down that way. I know he told me, yeah, Little River and so on. So it's used by a lot of people and so on, and not using the furnace all summer when they went to fire it up again. Found that it was like, no. And in any building nowadays, or even a lot of new homes, people don't put in furnaces, they put in heat pumps. And the recommendation was to go for them to go to a heat pump, so they went out and got prices, and this is what it came back. So that's where it's at. So I mean, I just wanted to give you a little history property. Go ahead, Councillor Cushion.
Heat pumps, thank you, Mr. Ward. Heat pumps are great, but we're talking about the Melbourne Hall. It's a very old hall, is it not?
Yeah, it's had a lot of upgrades over the
A
years.
lot of upgrades, lots
Yeah.
of insulation in it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the heat pumps would work then.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Alright.
So, yeah. Councillor Durkee.
I'm just wondering if they got more than one estimate for this?
Great question,
Good.
Councillor Durkee. So
Thank you.
they went to the market to seek 3 quotes, and in fact only had one firm interested in providing them a quote. So the reality in our community right now when it comes to heating and cooling is that there's a high demand and long wait times. So what the community hall needs to know is that this is going to proceed. They are in the queue with the vendor right now, but the work has not been done.
A lot of the companies, if I may, I went out and asked, I was kind of interested, and I called a company and asked them and said, you know, I'd like to get some prices on heat pumps. And they said, well, it would be 4 weeks to 5 weeks. I said, no, I just want it right now. It said, be 4 to 5 weeks before we come to your house to give you an estimate. Yeah. Councillor, go ahead, Councillor.
Well, I mean, with winter coming, I mean, you know what issues there can be leaving a hall unheated. So I think the sooner the better. I mean, we can get in. We haven't had a lot of cold weather, but certainly you can get into frost conditions, and next there'll be plumbing issues and so forth for people, for council and the volunteers. And so obviously this community has really taken care of the hall over a vast number of years, and certainly I appreciate that as a councillor, as does the larger community. So I think we should. I'll call for the question.
Deputy Warden, go ahead. Sorry.
Please don't get me wrong, Mr. Chair. Me and my wife had our wedding reception in there 24 years ago. I was part of that community. I lived just down the road on the William Allen Road at one time. The reason why I have concerns is the projected budget of $17,000, and the amount of this request is $17,000. I don't ever remember a situation where the municipality district of Yarmouth has done that. Mind you, the CAO had mentioned that we are the owner of the building, and that has to be taken into consideration. But I also think there's also been other community halls, even though the municipality district of Yarmouth does not own them. Other community centers like the Pembroke Community Hall, the Hebron Hall in Gerard's district, the Forest Glen Community Hall. The volunteers have gotten together in all those other community halls, and they've put forward budgets, and they've put in large requests like this one, and they've at least helped out some.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
And-
Deb. Sorry.
I do realize that, and that is something I learned today, that we own the building, but I am uncomfortable with the requests on this. I'm just wondering if we could do this over a 2-year period, would be my first question. Would it be easier for the municipality to do it that way? And my second one would be, oh, what, I just lost my train of thought. My second one would be, no, I can't think of it, it just lost me, but I'm just wondering if we could not possibly do this over a 2-year period. Yeah, the second question would be, where out of the budget would this money come from?
I would have to take a look. We have a couple of contingency lines in the budget for extraordinary expenses, so I would have to take a look specifically there. When the community realized the urgency in this, after they had spoken with Liz and myself, they actually have had one fundraiser already, and although the request is for $17,000, they've raised $1,200 since they put the request in. So it would be $17,000 less $1,200. The challenge with funding it over 2 years is that the work has to be done, and the vendor will expect to be paid in net 30 days. And as you can see from their bank balance, they don't have half the money. So I will leave those facts with council.
Councillor Cushion, go ahead.
Just to speak on the Melbourne Hall, it's very fortunate Melbourne and the Picnic Point area have a hall that is owned by the municipality, and it'd be ashamed if any more damage comes to that hall because of a non-heating or a lack of heating for this winter. It can do a lot of damage. I'm certainly aware of the damage that can be done with old community halls. I'm a member of our community hall in Pembroke, which was built in 1927, and over those years it had to have some major work done to it, and I'm sure, as with the community that I live in the Melbourne community, in the Picnic Point area, I believe when it comes to keeping their community hall, I think you'll see them people in that area will come forward, especially after lobster season gets going and whatnot, because communities may not attend to these halls a lot of the time, but they're always there to support the hall, and they're always there to, and when the hall is needed, they're always there to support it at that time. So I think it's a good venture for us to look into supporting that community hall. It's community halls are a dying breed, and it's very important to keep them.
Question's been called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. (8.6) Properties eligible for tax sale. CAO?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Thank you, Mr. Warden. So there is a brief in your package that outlines a number of properties that we have attempted to sell at tax sale and have not been able to sell. The problem lies both in the size of the property and also in the tax amounts owing. And so in the brief, you'll see outlined the specific challenges with each one of the named properties there. What I'm seeking tonight is direction to deem them surplus, direction to sell them, and direction to accept less than taxes owing. In addition to the package in your brief, there is a lot. The assessment account number 3390071, owned by the municipality of the District of Yarmouth, and it's known as the Port Maitland Fog Building. Looking for direction on deeming that surplus property.
Okay, you have that in your package. Now, I guess what I'm going to ask is, do we have to have one motion, or do we need a motion to move those as surplus properties? And then do we need another motion to post them? I don't know how you go to a real estate agent, or what do we?
So the MGA prescribes how municipalities can divest surplus properties.
Okay. So it would just fall under one motion that we deem them as surplus properties and that the CAO move forward with.
If council chooses to accept bids lower than the cost owing, the taxes owing, then I do need special permission for that.
Okay. Councillor Durkee, you have the floor.
Sure. Because this has just been brought up with regards to the Port Maitland, can that be a separate motion? I don't feel that should be lumped into the motion, and we just heard of that tonight, so
And it could be deferred.
I would be happy to have it deferred to the next meeting for that, so that we could have some discussion with the community on that.
Do you want a motion to bring, because it's not in the group right now, do you want a motion to defer the Port Maitland? Okay. What we'll look for then, Councillor, is for you
Can
to
I
make
make a motion to defer the declaration of
3390071.
Thank you, whatever he said. The Port Maitland Lighthouse Building be declared as surplus, deferred to the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Deputy Warden Cunningham.
Thank
Is
you.
there any further discussion?
Question?
Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Thank
Okay,
you.
now we'll go back to the original, and you have those, I think, was it 5 or 6 properties?
8.
8, was it 8 properties? 8 properties. What is the wishes of council? Go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
So I'll move that the municipality district of Yarmouth deem surplus the properties recommended to go to sale by public tender as circulated, and also engage in the process to allow those properties to be sold for an amount lower than the taxes owing.
Been moved by Councillor Cunningham. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Been moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Durkee. Was there any further discussion on that motion? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Uh, 8.7, amendments to the Mariner Center Agreement. You have that in your package. What is the wishes of council at this time? Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to accept the amendment in the Mariner Center agreement.
Been moved by Councillor Cunningham, been seconded by Councillor Cushion. Discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Durkee.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the amendment to change underneath background number 3 from class of people to structure of the board. So the reading would be: the parties wish to amend the structure of the board that will be the parties' voting representatives at the authority.
Okay. Been moved by Councillor Durkee for an amendment to the amendment. It's been seconded by Councillor Trevor Cunningham. Was there any further discussion on the amendment to the amendment? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. The original motion is now on the floor with the amendment. Question being, do we have, who was the seconder? What was,
Councillor
You-
Cushing was the second.
yeah, okay, I just wanted to, yeah. Councillor, Deputy Warden Cunningham and Councillor Cushion made the original motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Right. 8.8, Betty McDonald, the Executive Director for NSFM, the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, her retirement. CAO, Victoria?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So all of the councillors have received an invitation to an open house to honor Betty and recognize her retirement on December the 13th from 1 till 4 in Halifax. Realizing that that may not be something that this council can fully participate in realizing the important role of the NSFM and their hardworking staff to municipal government in Nova Scotia, I'm seeking direction from council on a card or a gift for Ms. McDonald upon the occasion of her retirement.
What is the wishes of council? Go ahead.
I'd like to, do I have to make a motion or? Yes. I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to send a card and possibly make a donation to an organization on her behalf.
Do we want a dollar, do you need a dollar figure or?
$100.
What would a donation to, you have a,
An amount?
yes.
$100? $100 donation?
Okay. It's been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Councillor Cushion. I'd like to have just a little bit quick discussion. The general public hear us saying this about Betty McDonald, the Executive Director of NSFM. Betty has been the Executive Director for many years after Ken Simpson, the original director, passed away suddenly. Betty has built, as it's called now, NSFM to she has made it an organization that is respected by the provincial government. The committees that she runs, or the organization that she runs, and so on, with the staff, and there's only 3 staff members, and the amount of work that they do on behalf of the 50 municipal units in the province is a testament to her dedication to the organization. If the only other person that I can think of that has a better memory of names and which municipal unit you're from would be the Deputy Mayor for the town of Yarmouth, Phil Mooney. Betty only has to hear your name usually once or twice, which municipal unit you're from and what you do, and she remembered it. And every time you've seen her, there was always, hi, how are you doing? How's things going in the municipality of Inverness or whatever. She knew where you were from. And her dedication to that organization has been tremendous. And she done a lot of good work and so on. She is going to be truly missed by the staff and by all of the municipal units in the province. Probably sometimes some of the provincial departments, I won't say are glad to see her go, but they remember Betty fought long and hard for any of the resolutions that we passed at our fall conferences and so on. She always made sure that they were brought before the provincial department that it needed to go to and so on, along with support from municipal units and so on. She'll be greatly missed and so on in that respect. So you've heard the motion. A gift or a donation made to an organization on her behalf to the value of $100. Was there any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor
Can I just
Durkee.
suggest that maybe our staff contact her staff to make a suggestion of where appropriate donation be made?
Okay. You ready for the question? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried. Thank you, staff or councillors. 8.9, request from the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation. You have that in your package. What is the wishes of council? If you had a chance to read it, someone, is there any movement from this council on that request? Go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
I guess I've got a question. It lists there's an $81,000 balance
Yes.
owing on the only on the equipment, important equipment. I'm just wondering if, through you, Mr. Warden, is there a timeline that these monies, could be collected, or is there some sort of idea of where we might start the conversation, what I'm saying?
Well, as you've seen in the letter, there's no timeline. It was just what they moved forward on this project, and this is where it sets, and this is what oh, my computer has froze.
I could speak to it if you like, Mr. Warden.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the correspondence that you have in your package, it may be familiar to you because the foundation has done a blanket campaign this fall. So I've received this at home as well. If you have supported the foundation in the past, then you're on their mailing list and you received this letter. So to answer your question, Councillor Cunningham, I don't think that there's time sensitivity to it. The machine has been purchased and there's an amount owing. I think that the foundation is just seeking to retire that as quickly as possible. So my recommendation would be that we would put this over to our budget deliberations.
Go ahead, Councillor.
So I'll move that we, on the recommendation of our CAO, that we move this to budget.
Okay. It's been moved by Councillor Trevor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Is there any further questions or discussion? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you. I have to be careful with my computer. Don't let it freeze. 8.10, a report from the chair of PVSC. You had that in your package from the chairman, Warden Jimmy McAlpine. And I don't remember it being anything, just information only, was it not?
Yes, Mr. Warden.
Yeah. Was there any questions or thoughts from council on this? Hearing none? .11 Athletic Awards Ceremony. I have that in mind. It's just Dylan Landry is, I guess I'm going to ask the question, are we allowed to say these names before? That is Friday night. I don't know if they've been told or...
It's been publicly announced.
Oh, it's been
yeah.
publicly announced, okay. Dylan Landry, Male Youth Athlete of the Year. Madison Boudreau, Female Youth Athlete of the Year. And Jordan A. Bain, Male Support Volunteer of the Year. I was asked to attend this ceremony. And as I stated, I'm away in Halifax on the 30th, and the deputy warden can't make it neither. And I put it out, was there a councillor? Was there any councillors? This is Friday night, see? Pardon me? Okay.
If I could just speak to that, Mr. Chairman. So there were several other winners, but these individuals are residents of the District of Yarmouth, and so I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay. So what I'll do right then this evening, I'll send something on. If I can get out of the city in time, I think this was for 6 o'clock. Was it for 6? I can't remember. I remember putting it out there. I can find out from Frank. If I can get out of the city in time, and it's good traveling, I can, I'll try and make it back, but I probably won't leave the city until 4 or so. Anyway, I'll get in touch with Frank.
7 to 9 p.m., Mr. Warden.
7 to 9. Okay, if I leave by 4, yeah, straight drive. Yeah. Then, so I'll let Frank know that I can try and make it. And so on. Okay, thank you. Item number 9 are reports, committee reports. The audit committee, there's been no meeting. Bylaw and policy review, we had that this evening. Emergency measures planning committee, I don't know if they're The executive, as I stated, met the other night pertaining to a new formation of a REMO and so on. Occupational health and safety, no report. Heritage advisory. Planning advisory, the meeting was canceled, was it not, Mr. Chair? Yeah. Yarmouth County Police Advisory Committee, there's been no meeting. Yarmouth Recreation Committee. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councillor.
There's a meeting scheduled for next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but the following Thursday.
Okay. Friends of the Yarmouth Light. Any report? Go ahead, Councillor.
Hey, Mr. Warden. I'd just like to give a brief report on the Friends of the Light Committee. They've ended their lease with the municipality of Yarmouth. And as council representative on that Friends of the Light Committee, oops, sorry. As council representative on that Friends of the Light Committee, I personally want to thank the Friends of the Light Committee, the present committee that is just ending their lease, and the past members. I've known the past members, I'll say a lot longer than I've had the present members, and I know they worked very hard to bring it to a point where the present members have taken over and continue that recognition of our icon. I'd like to bring is about the importance of the lighthouse to the tourist industry, but most important to the community of Cape Fichu and the surrounding communities in the town of Yarmouth and beyond. Whereas council is now looking to advance in the recognition of the lighthouse, in the Leif Erikson Trail, in the Cape Fichu in general, which would include the Johns Cove Beach, which we will be discussing in the new year, I'll guarantee you that, and in Outer Falls Harbor, which is a lovely place for people to watch the breakers come in, the waves, and walk along the beach, and it's just a wonderful spot. And I, as a representative of the District of 6, am looking forward to our Ionic tourist attraction being raised to that next level. And I hope that we can have YASTA be involved. I believe there's some negotiations going on there, and I'm certainly looking for the next step forward in making this iconic place at a higher level of tourist attraction and use. It's been well used, and it continues to be used. I think you can go down about any day, and there's people there either at the lighthouse or at the Outer Falls Harbor and whatnot. So even on Johns Cove Beach walking. So which is very important. Now, trying to get to Johns Cove or to the lighthouse, you have to cross the causeway. And just to let people know that the causeway is going to be rebuilt. The bridge part of it especially, there's going to be some armor stone put there. There's going to be some concrete work to be done there. And my understanding with my contacts with TIR is that one of the most important things to start with before the winter storms get too bad would be place armor stone on the Cape Fichu side of the causeway, which would be the west end of the causeway where there's a lot of washout that does happen there. But the causeway itself will have a real nice improvement done to it, and we're looking forward to that. Of course, there's always the public who says, well, we got the Yarmouth Bar section, we've got the monument, the Fisherman's Monument section that needs to be flooded, we've got the S-turns up by the churn and whatnot. It's a real big area down there, and we got to do it one step at a time. And as the representative for that area, I will be pushing to have some other important features done in that area, because it's very important. You know, and one of the things I will be pushing for in the near future too is not only besides Johns Cove Beach, but the road from Johns Cove Beach to the lighthouse is a terrible, terrible shape. So, which I will be talking to TRI about it. So, I just wanted to give that report on the Cape Richoux. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I know here just, what was it, 2 weeks ago when we met with the TIR, with Don Houston and his supervisor. Yes, and we talked about the blue route and so on, and yeah, the bike lane and so on. And because I remember when the Heartland Tour were always here in the summer and they do their route, they always traveled over to the lighthouse. And I can remember a couple of times talking with the people of prominence that were in the provincial government that were biking along with the Heartland Tour, and they said that the ride over to Cape Richoux and back was one of their most enjoyable. And it's one of the roads that are, I'll say, very narrow, and it can use some improvement. And you know, yeah, if every little bit we do over there makes it more of an icon for a tourist attraction and so on. So kudos to that. Hopefully we can move forward on that. Joint Green Energy Committee, there's been no meeting that I know of. Mariner Center Management Board. The Regional Economic Management Board, there hasn't been any meeting. Western Counties Regional Library. Okay, YASTA, any meeting? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, we had a meeting last week, and Neil just mentioned about the Cat Ferry being moved to Bar Harbor. There's still some unknowns about that, but he was quite confident that the move is going to happen. We had a visit from the MS Fram this
Yes.
September.
Yeah.
September, and it was another success. They're coming back next year for four stops.
Yeah.
Plus, the MS Fram is scheduled to be in the Tuscan Islands at anchor 2020 in September. In 2020 in September.
Yeah,
And then there's another one, the Royal Amundsen is scheduled to be at the Tuscan Islands in 2020. About I would say only about a week apart.
Really? Well,
So that's going to be something they are. The accommodations, the rooms sold up this year were up 7%. There's been videos that have been completed for next year. We saw one, and it was a beautiful video of the municipality, the two municipalities and the town, really promoting this area, which was really done well. I saw one on Facebook just today, I think. The Sanford Drawbridge was completed, and then our sales manager, I think, for YASTA, Charles Robichaud, is going to be he's going to be appointed to the CTA. That's the Tourist Association for the Acadians. So that's about it for now.
thank you very much. Waste check, there was a meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize. Go ahead, Councillor.
Neil attended the Tyann's conference, and I just want to share that Lucien and Simon LeBlanc received a Crystal Award for their experience in the Tuscan Islands and in the Yarmouth Harbor, which is quite a huge honor. So congratulations to both of them.
Yes, that's great. Waste check, there was a meeting. Meeting was just through regular information and so on. Illegal dumps are still an issue, not as bad as they used to be, but they're still illegal dumps. I'll give you kind of a summary on that of my experience. Also, green carts. We've had to order another load of green carts, and we're going to the new style. We've brought in some of the new style before. They have a rounded bottom instead of a flat bottom. We're having greater success with them, especially in the winter time, for when the haulers dump the organics. They don't break as easy, etc., and so on. Also received information back, as we're all well aware, at the first of the spring, there was quite a discussion and so on the single-use plastic bags. There was from last fall and so on. The Department of Environment Minister had asked the regions, that's the committee that I sit on, to get consensus from all 50 municipal units about the use of single-use plastic bags and whether they would support a ban on single-use plastic bags. All but one area supported the ban. We done our due diligence and so on, and we sent all that information in to the Department of Environment, and the letter we received back and the information that came back to the general public was, at this time, the Department of Environment will not be supporting a ban on the single-use plastic bags. They have found not the department, but a lot of the regions have found other areas of sales for the plastic film and so on. So the province is not going to support the ban on single-use plastic bag. The issue there is sometimes when you have an issue, a department will get on board and want you to move forward and so on to try to eliminate an issue. We did, but in the interim, they found another use for or another sales for the plastic film. So the province has backed away from that. That was very disappointing to Region 7, but it was also very disappointing to all of the regions in the province at this time after we done our due diligence. But then, just as for instance on illegal dumps, an illegal dump can be 5 tons of asphalt shingles, it can be construction and demolition material, it can be 15 cans of used paint. People will not take it back to the proper depots and so on. So here's an issue that I haven't really been able to grasp, and nobody's been able to answer. The other day on my way home, traveling on the Ellis Road, just where the asphalt meets the gravel, about 200 feet down, I seen 2 white plastic bags. And as I got closer, I could tell what they were. They were tires in those plastic bags that you put tires in. So I thought, okay, maybe these tires fell off somebody's truck or something. They didn't realize it because they were still in the plastic bag. So I stopped and looked. Sure enough, there's 2 summer tires in the plastic bags. They're wore out. And I thought, why would somebody bring 2 tires and put them alongside the road? Because at the garage where they were changed, the garage can take them. Why would somebody take them and dump them off on the side of a road? And when this isn't the first time, I've noticed it quite often. You know, I don't understand it, because I had my tires changed the other day, and my summer tires one of them was wore completely out. I never asked the service station to take it, they just automatically took it. Now, I don't know why this person took and dropped the 2 tires. They were in the white plastic bags. So, I know you folks can't answer it because Waste Check can't answer the question either, why people do what they do, but they do it.
Don't they charge money to take 2 tires?
Originally, when you buy your tire, you pay a $5 fee. And that $5 fee, so whenever you take the tire off, a service station will take the tire. That's why you see like a lot of tires outside of service stations. They're collected, I'll say like every 2 months, there's a contractor goes around and picks them up. And there's no charge to the service station, and there's no charge to you. You paid they paid $5 to have the right to leave them at a service station. Why they would take them and haul them down there and put them off is, but that's what, when I say illegal dumps, that's what they classify as an illegal dump. Just one of my 2 cents. I'm get tired of it. Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission. We had a meeting on the 19th. Our discussion is, we're all well aware of what we call the Domtex project, was the removal of the old Domtex building and so on. We are finalizing that with, there is a pipe in the street ground which originally belonged to the Domtex, and we are looking at either the removal or the filling in of that pipe and so on, and doing some remediational work to a couple of the other facilities. Also had discussion on our Harbour South medical clinic and the Pubnico medical clinic. Things are moving forward there. Not as happy as we'd like to be, but it's moving forward and so on both those. The Harbour, the Port Authority, the acting manager has been doing due diligence and so on, and hopefully, I'll say before the summer of 2019, that there will be a new committee formed that'll have will take over the ownership of the Yarmouth Harbour or port, as we say, and look after that wharfage and so on there. That's that report. Yarmouth Waterfront Development Authority, has there been any? Signs Committee? Go ahead.
Yes. I guess what we've decided to do is just postpone working on getting a company to look at signage until we have discussed rebranding, and that'll be in the new year. I did jump over one, the Yarmouth International Airport. I wasn't able to make the last meeting that they had, but as we're all well aware, the acting manager is all done, Alain Muse, the end of November, which is on Friday. At this time, just going to be, I can't think of his name, is going to be, I'll say an interim type person, a contact person, excuse me, for any of the issues that need to be looked after at the airport. I know a lot of people may have seen the snow plows and that out there clearing the runway and so on. That is part of the mandatory responsibility for any EHS medical flights and so on, and or in preparation here. I know it's supposed to snow and so on tomorrow. They will be out clearing the runways again because of the possible of, is it Friday or Friday, that the fleet, the lobster fleet, may be going out. So for the Coast Guard helicopters and or Greenwood search and rescue planes and so on to be able to land, they have to keep the ice and snow off of the runways and so on. So that's an important issue on that. No other reports at this time. So item number 10 is in-camera recommendations. Go ahead, Councillor. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the CAO has successfully completed the probationary period.
Second that.
It's been moved by Councillor Durkee, seconded by Deputy Warden Cunningham. Was there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, you ready for the question? Question being called. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Was there any further business? I would like to have some closing remarks. As our next council meeting isn't until the 19th, is it? The 19th of December, on behalf of my fellow councillors and staff at the municipality office, wish each and every one a very Merry Christmas. Remember, please try to remember those that are a little less fortunate. Make donations or whatever to the Salvation Army and so on. But also remember those that are out there serving us 24/7, RCMP, EHS, our military and so on. Just if you happen to see them, say thank you and wish each and every one in the municipality a very Merry Christmas. Councillor Durkee, go ahead.
Thank you. As the people of Jewish faith will be celebrating Hanukkah, which is the Festival of the Lights, starting on December 2nd, I'd like to wish all the members of the county who celebrate Judaism a very happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Was there any further business of the council? Hearing none? Thank you very much.